Hi guys, welcome back, and here is my second instalment of reviews for this week. I know that I was a little bit slack on my review last week, so I'm trying to make up for it by doing an early one this week. This week is a seriously big one if you are a fan of Porcupine Tree. At last, our prayers have been answered and the band have released a brand new album. And I can tell you now, it was seriously worth the wait. So let's dive into Closure Continuation. So if you're not familiar with Porcupine Tree, they began in 1987, years back, where it was just Steven Wilson. And throughout the years, they developed into what would kind of be the final lineup, which was 4 members. And that was Steven Wilson, Gavin Harrison, Colin Edwin, and Richard Barbieri. They are often regarded as one of the best modern prog rock acts out there. They were signed to Roadrunner. They released an absolutely amazing final record, which was The Incident. And that's, I think, actually my favourite Porcupine Tree album, with Fear of a Blank Planet coming up close, In Absentia, Deadwing. Like, this kind of incarnation of Porcupine Tree was so solid and did so much, I think, for modern progressive music. Now, I want to mention that the lineup is ever so slightly different in the fact that there is no Colin Edwin on this album. But in short, a lot of people have been very excited for this record, namely a massive Steven Wilson fan. So the record itself doesn't necessarily have a particular theme, but for me, I think the more that I've listened to it, the more I've kind of picked up on the fact that it's obviously taken such a long time to be created. And I think in many ways, it reflects the time that the artists have been through in terms of, you know, their musical changes in direction, but also the world has kind of gone through. There's a great balance of these kind of heavier moments, but also the idea of, you know, more of an atmosphere, more of an electronic kind of slant of things. I've always heard Steven say, you know, that he never really wants to repeat himself. And of course, you know, going back to Porcupine Tree, I think there are elements of the band's sound, but it sounds fresh and new and contemporary rather than just kind of rehashing old Porcupine Tree material. And with that in mind, there are some fantastic, like, big riff moments, I guess, which are from, you know, the kind of like funky influenced Harridan, but then you've got Rat's Return, which I personally think is kind of the most sort of metal track on the record, particularly with that do-do-do-do-do-do-do-do. And then you've got the sort of ever-ascending Chimera's Wreck, which I was quite surprised by, and even in places reminded me a bit of Tool, which I thought was kind of cool. Lots of interesting things going on there with the dynamics in terms of acoustic and how they build up the tension there to create this really climactic ending to the record. I also think that Rat's Return, in many ways, kind of, and this is where I get this idea of time, is that there are elements where I was like, oh, that sounds a bit like Luminol, or, you know, The Holy Drinker and things like that. And it's got that sort of quite stabbing guitar. You can hear the culmination of these many years on this record, particularly, I think, in Of the New Day and also Dignity, particularly because I think that sounds a bit like Hand Cannot Erase era solo Steven Wilson material. But
hold your fear in check, my dear. It's got no place here.
But then you've also got the electronics of Walk the Plank, which for me is a completely, you know, it's a completely guitarless song, but it also sounds like it could have existed around To the Bone, The Future Bites, obviously, which was a heavily electronica influenced album. And then obviously, you know, Gavin Harrison, I think, has really taken from, you know, playing with King Crimson multiple times, The Pineapple Thief, and brought that element in there as well. But there are elements which did make me think, that's classic Porcupine Tree, like herd culling and also Harridan, and very kind of a little bit ominous, a bit sort of insidious in the melodies, but also just quite, I don't know, that's that feel that Porcupine Tree have. I also think what's important is that this record is not bloated. You know, there's 7 songs on display here, with an extra 3 if you get the sort of special edition. But it doesn't overstay its welcome, and, you know, sometimes prog can be a bit too lofty, and it can be sort of a victim of its own grandiosity. I also have to say that the playing on this is brilliant. You know, Gavin Harrison in particular, I think, was a real highlight. His drumming is just, it's so tight and on the nose, but equally really well put together to create those kind of senses of tension. Stephen's voice, I think, is really interesting. It's obviously changed over the years and it's not the same as it was in the incident, but he's trying different things. And Richard Barbieri's keys and synthesizers, they're adding a new sort of sense of embellishment to the songs that I really, really dig. The production is reliably brilliant, considering that it is Steven Wilson who put it together. But most importantly, I think that it really focuses on what that particular section needs. So, you know, the heavy moments really do sound heavy and impactful, but then equally when it is more experimental, more electronic led, it really does kind of allow that to be pushed to the forefront. And I was very, very fortunate enough to attend a Q&A with Steven Wilson and Gavin Harrison at the Dolby Suite here in London, and they do this thing which is called Dolby Atmos. I think it's spatial audio. I'm not sure if I've got that kind of the right way around. But essentially what it means is that instead of the music just being kind of, I think, at the front, it means that it can kind of move around you. So the way that this was mixed, particularly listening back to it like that, really enhanced those sections of Richard Barbieri and also, you know, Steven Wilson's kind of ideas of the electronics that should be where they are. As the ambiguity may suggest, this may or may not be the final Porcupine Tree release. However, there is no ambiguity for me in the affirmation that this is a truly incredible addition to an already stellar catalogue. And I'll be honest, I've been searching for an out-and-out album of the year, and if you are a King Crimson fan, Steven Wilson fan, a Pineapple Thief fan, and particularly a Porcupine Tree fan, this may well be it. Absolutely incredible. So I hope you guys enjoyed this album review. Let me know what you think in the comments below of both the video and the record, and I would love to hear from you guys. As ever, I always appreciate your support. Thank you ever so much for watching, and I'll see you next week for another album review. Take care, my friends.